At noon on the 11th of July 1921, an official truce came into being between the opposing sides of the Anglo-Irish War, the War of Independence. The war had begun with a raid on a cart full of gelignite at Solohead Beg, County Tipperary on the 21st of January 1919, the same day as the meeting of the First Dáil. When it ended 2.5 years later, there were 2,346 deaths to be accounted for. 491 Irish Republicans, 523 police, 413 military and 919 civilians. By this time, both sides were anxious to end the conflict. An appetite for peace won over even the most stalwart enemies, perhaps in a desperate need to regroup and replenish, or in a yearning to end the brutal killings and violence which had been visited upon the country. The ceasefire was welcomed as a victory. All across County Kildare, bonfires were lit to celebrate the signing of the truce. Joyous crowds of singing people surrounded the bonfires, while elsewhere people emerged onto the streets, taking advantage of the relaxation of the curfew. The Leinster leader reported that the armistice has been splendidly observed on all sides throughout Kildare, and not the slightest matter occurred to mar the peaceful air. And yet this momentous occasion never found commemorative status within Republican or nationalist ranks. The laying down of arms in July 1921 was quickly forgotten, followed as it was by a divisive treaty and a tragic, bloody civil war. Today we want to commemorate the truce and celebrate peace and reconciliation as the nation tried to move away from conflict towards a negotiated settlement. We acknowledge the work done by the County Kildare Decade of Commemorations to mark the centenaries of this great period in our history in an inclusive, appropriate and sensitive way. In particular, as we commemorate the truce, the recent publication of a timeline of the War of Independence in County Kildare. Over the next 2 months, we will unveil 10 granite benches constructed with recycled material from the old military barracks at Naoise within the grounds of Áras Kildare. The idea is to create a space for us to take a moment alone or with those we love from the daily stresses of life and to reflect and remember, or to find peace, to think and to create. On the 11th of July 2021, 100 years after the truce, and in another challenging time for our country, we want to celebrate and remember, but also look forward to new beginnings and a time without the daily threat of virus and lockdowns. We should remember our ancestors who were also looking forward to a better future and remember their efforts which created our nation. Isí mana Kildare na manma agus mishnach. Spirit and courage. Our ancestors showed spirit and courage 100 years ago. We as a county and as a people showed spirit and courage throughout the pandemic. Let's show those characteristics again as we move forward into the future.
As Chair of the County Kildare Decade of Commemorations Committee, and on their behalf, I'm pleased to join on Cathaoirleach and yourselves to mark the centenary of the official truce between the participants of the War of Independence. The conflict saw awful loss of life among civilians, military, police and revolutionaries, all human and at considerable cost to their families, communities and the country. The County Kildare Decade of Commemorations Committee was established by Kildare County Council to find new and innovative ways to commemorate the decade from 1913 to 1923. As time passes us into the next century, we can view past events from a distance, from a perspective of empathy and with a conciliatory outlook. The committee is committed to ensuring that all commemorations are inclusive, while offering an objective exploration of our shared history. Through the support of the public, Kildare County Council is working to a strategy, is assisting communities in their work to promote local history, and is preparing a legacy for future generations. If while resting on the commemorative benches that you find yourself reflecting on our history, please share your thoughts with us. Again, thank you for joining us and for your support for the work of the committee.